Welcome back to Rockstock Channel. It is Tuesday, June 25th, and we are having here live at the Fastmarkets red rocks, right? There's a lot of red rocks on the RK Equity scoreboard, in terms of spodumene, performance. We have for the first time here Jeff Elliott, the non-executive chairman of Wildcat Resources, who I met for the first time just yesterday, but was very happy to hear as an avid listener to our channel, and was reciting back some of Rodney and my commentary here. So I'm looking at a stock chart, and literally a year ago, in June of 2023, your stock was like 13 cents, right? And now it's 32 cents, but you were a major, discovery story into November of last year, peaking at 91 cents. This is the first time you've been at this conference. We watched Wildcat from afar, one of many, typical exploration successes in Western Australia that the Aussies kind of knew and found ahead of time. And but good, the stocks come in, quite a bit. So Jeff, just tell us a little bit about, yourself, Wildcat, and how you're finding the conference, and what your the overall trajectory is from here. You did raise money. Just remind us what price and how much you raised.
Sure.
In your discussion. But this is just, I'm not unprepared. I haven't done a lot of work here. We just met, and would love to just, give our listeners an opportunity to hear the Wildcat story for the first time.
Yeah, well, look, thanks very much. It's, as you say, unprepared and unexpected. I'm an avid listener and a fan. Since Wildcat acquired this Tabba Tabba lithium project a year ago, I've been on a steep learning curve, and it's thanks to people like you and Rodney and other colleagues and so many in the industry that's been really welcoming, actually, and learning in this very new and burgeoning and fast-growing industry. So, look, it's great to be here. So, thanks very much. I'm a geologist background. Been in the industry for over 30 years. Worked in various parts of the world, both in exploration and mining environments, but also been an entrepreneur and started a few different businesses across mining services. Ran a large consultancy which had offices all around the world. Sold that off, and then joined a public company, Wildcat. It was a junior. I think it was 2 cents when I joined about 3 or 4 years ago, with a gold project that we couldn't get to because of COVID. And so we came up with a strategy. We thought, hey, we're based in Perth, Western Australia. We'll target lithium in some places where we get to, and the Pilbara is a good place to start, as well as the goldfields where the other lithium projects are. We optioned a few pieces of ground and had a crack at them, but they didn't really turn out. And then about a year and a half ago, we identified the Tabba Tabba asset. It was the fourth of number 4 in a group of assets that all turned into significant lithium projects, and 3 of which are now lithium mines. So that's Greenbushes, Pilgangoora, and Wodgina. They were all previously tantalum assets owned by Global Advanced Metals, which is in turn owned by RCF Investment Bank. We managed to strike a deal using equity, and I guess highlighting our technical expertise and our operating expertise, and some, I guess, hopefully some commercial skills as well. And so we managed to cut a deal where we did about a $6 million equity deal when our share price was around 3 cents. It took about 6 months to execute that deal, and then we announced it to the market in May 17 last year. Share price was around 3.5 cents. Part of that, we were a 20 million market cap, or sub 20 million market cap company, with share price highs and lows 2 to 4 cents. Prior to that, we had about 3 million cash in the bank and an 800,000 ounce gold deposit. As soon as we announced this Tabba Tabba acquisition, and people could see the similarities to Wodgina and Pilgangoora and others, we started on this rapid rise of this roller coaster of last year. So it's been crazy. We raised $7.5 million as part of that. As part of that deal, we had to have $10 million in the bank. We had to commit to a significant drill program. We immediately started drilling. We went to the field straight away. We were drilling within a month. Our first hole we hit lithium-bearing pegmatites. We put on a second rig, a third rig, a fourth rig, a fifth rig, a sixth rig. So we've done 100,000 metres in the last 12 months. Half of that's diamond core, and we announced the significant discovery in September because we were hitting 85 metres at 1.5, 85 metres at 1.3. The scale from the initial holes, we were hitting 10 metres, suddenly moved to something that we're onto something much larger here. So it's been a wild ride.
It's amazing. When I think about it, when I first met you, I met your colleagues in November, and I looked just where you are on the map, next to Wagen and next to Pilgangoora and GAM, Global Advanced Minerals. They've been in this game for a long time. How is it in the prior lithium boom that they didn't option this to somebody else, a few years ago?
Yeah, look, they did sell off the other assets. They sold off Pilgangoora, Pilbara Minerals. Prior to the current management, were operating Tabba Tabba as a tantalum plant. So they had a small flotation plant there in joint venture with a processing company under JV to Global Advanced Metals. The tantalum price, wasn't great at that time, and the founding directors, John Young and Neil Biddle, went on and picked up Pilgangoora. And so we like to, if we could emulate a part of that success, that would be wonderful. They just didn't explore, the pegmatites were mapped, but they were believed to be tantalum dominant systems. And the geochemical expression at surface is quite weak. And so we drilled in the area that had the best geochemical expression, and that's where we hit mineralisation, but it was the smallest, the thinnest mineralisation. The area that had a poorer geochemical expression, that's our layer deposit. A lot of our prospects deposit names are Star Wars names, which came about from Tabba Tabba's code name being Jabba the Hutt. And then from there it kept on going, and so we had Han and the Hutt and Chewie and Leia and
you need C-3PO and R2-D2, given Elon Musk is saying everyone's going to want one of these robots.
Well, absolutely, and we're looking for them hard. But we were really fortunate. Our share price kept on escalating as we put out more and more good drill hits, and the scale of this project started to become known. One of the key things is we're only 80 kilometres from the Port headland, so we're between Pilgangoora to our south, another 47 kilometres south, and Wodgina about 87 kilometres further away to the southwest. But we've got infrastructure in place in terms of a haul road. We're on mining leases rather than exploration licence, so quite different to Azur's Andover project. Topography is flat. It's been disturbed by mining. It already had mining permitted for the tantalum deposit, so there's a lot of pluses which actually reduce our permitting pathway, and of course Western Australia is a very good place to operate. So we were fortunate that those things led to a share price appreciation, and we were able to raise $100 million. We started off with a target of maybe we should take 20 or 40, but the price kept on going up, and more people were offering us money.
What price was that at?
That was done at 76 cents. It was led by Euros Hartleys and Canaccord. Mm-hmm. During the process of when we bought the asset, RCF, and who owned GAM, end up controlling part of our stock. But in that price run up, they decided to sell, and so
they did very well. They basically took You said you paid $6 million in 3-cent Wildcat stock?
3.5 cent Wildcat stock, and sold it out for 85 cents to Minres about 4 months later for, I think, around $160 million.
It's a good IRR for them.
It was a good return for them. But look, RCF continued to be a supporter. They're still a holder through a royalty, and GAM with the tantalum royalty. So, as well as there's some performance rights there. If we were to find a resource, define a JORC resource of over 10 million tonnes, there's some other performance shares there, which will go to the vendors. We think we're easily going to hit that milestone.
Have you announced the resource yet?
No, we're not. We've been drilling away. We've done over 100,000 metres. We've still got quite a number of core samples to be processed, both in the field and that lab. We've got 4 rigs still turning now. We've done 250 kilos of cider test work, looking at both DMS flotation only. We're coming close to a point to getting the final reports, so we're hoping we could be in a position to release that information to the market in the next month. Our sort of rough timetable for our maiden resource will be in the first part of the fourth quarter of the calendar year, so maybe around October. Mm-hmm. That the longer we leave it, the more holes and more assays we get into it. But,
right. Okay. So there's been a ton of drilling, but so far the story was all drilling success, and this year just the stocks come off with all other lithium stocks, and so GAM sold all to Mineral Resources, or Mineral Resources now has what, 19.9 in the company?
Yeah.
Was it all in that transaction, or did they buy on market?
No,
further?
they bought on market as well. So they started accumulating on market before they went substantial on the ASX. You have to announce once you hit 5%. So they started accumulating, and then there was an off-market deal done between RCF, GAM, and MinRes. But MinRes have been look, they're a significant shareholder. Obviously, I've got good rapport with the MinRes team. Go and give them updates regularly. They've offered us support and so on. So look, at the moment, the more people we can learn from. We're new in this industry. It's our first conference. But yeah, the more people we can learn from, the Alturas and the Sayonas and the Pilbara Minerals and all these companies that have come before us are going to be, there's so many learnings that we don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. So what do you make of, so Chris Ellison and MinRes bought at a much higher price. Gina bought, Liontown, much higher price. Azor, I guess, went at a high price. But like from the sentiment at this conference is, and what reflected in the market is like pretty rainy, pessimistic. What's your sense from your interaction with, Chris Ellison? If you own your own rock, you're God. Australia is the most socially acceptable. So yeah, on the permitting side, I don't think there's like an issue there. But what's your sense? Actually, what's your sense of what you're experiencing here the first time at this conference, and what you generally experience, in Australia, and what you're hearing, I guess, from MinRes and team on the medium and long term?
Yeah, look, my number one feeling is gratitude. The number of people that have been friendly, really willing to sort of network, to help, point out, connect. It's just been lovely. It's I wanted to come to this conference last year. It wasn't the right timing because we were mid-deal and the deal hadn't closed. So I was sure to come this year. I'd like to come every other time and really sort of. Just the networking potential is just huge, and the industry is, I find, very helpful. Both on the service side, but even on the competitors, all the way vertically up the value chain. We're having some great meetings with end users, investors, funds, peers. It's really great. I guess, look, I'm an optimist. I started my life as an exploration geologist, so you have to be an optimist. But I guess I'm a realist as well. I think our timing, we're lucky not to be in construction now, or, we're well funded. This 100 million that we raised in October, we reported 90 million in the bank at the end of the last quarter. We've been very efficient with that capital. We've got a small sort of staff team and low corporate overhead costs. And we're pumping all that money into the ground. We're very focused. We've got 1,000 square kilometres of other exploration licenses around us. We're just starting to drill some of those in the next couple of months, which is quite close to a game between us and Pilgangoora at our Bolt Cutter East and our Pilgangoora North tenement. I guess, the timing-wise, forecasts, tend to be, I guess they tend to reflect the rear vision mirror more to me than what actually happens, right? Because the few people get the forecasting right, and particularly in something that's so new and highly volatile as this industry. So look, our business plan is just to go forward. It'll be what it will be when we get closer to production. If we need to slow things down and push things out, we can, because we're well funded. We've got a very supportive shareholder base. All the board is highly invested, and as well as the people that got in early, they want to see us go into production. We think we've got that short time frame to get in production in somewhere around 2 years, which is amazing. And
that would be very fast. You're basically you're fully funded through maiden resource, PFS to DFS. You don't really need to raise capital before making a final investment decision. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%, Howard. Yeah, look, at the end of this, we're coming up in 5 days' time. The end of the financial year, we're still going to have most of that money that we raised. We've reduced from 6 rigs to 4 rigs, just mainly because we've drilled out a lot of the first sort of 10 years of the potential mine plan. Obviously, we don't have a resource at the moment, but we think there's no point in pushing too much capital into the deeper parts of the ore body, but it does continue down deep. And we're putting more money into de-risking now and then start exploring our broader tenements. So yeah, fully funded for 2 years or more if we need it.
Okay, that's great. We're going to end it there, Jeff. This was we're doing just a series of 3 or 4 interviews with some interesting spodumene development, and producing stories. But look forward to having you, on the podcast for when we're a bit more prepared for an update, and certainly, before and maybe definitely at the time of your maiden resource in October. But thank you very much.
No problem. And thanks so much for the opportunity. I look forward to listening to more of your podcasts.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.